Welcome to the big picture.
Happy Monday, Collin.
Happy Monday. How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. I lounged a lot. I went to a children's birthday party, but that was fun. I love giving gifts. It's like my love language. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, totally get it.
So that was fun. I went to Costco. I got my Costco on. Started meal prepping for the week. You know, I do that on Sundays.
I try to meal prep.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not good at it. Like,
Yeah.
I'll get into a kick where I do it for a bit, and then I don't.
I made some tuna salad because you got that into my head. I was like, that sounds so good. So I made that. That's easy. That keeps. But basically, I chilled. I mean, didn't really do much besides that.
What did I do? Like, my weekend was super quiet. Like, I just chilled. This is like, for once, like a weekend that felt like it was long enough.
Yeah. This weekend did feel long. It was nice.
It did. And I'm like, I don't know what it was. Yeah. No, I cooked. I did kind of like meal prep. It was like a white bean and like chicken sausage thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Okay, you're making me hungry. Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, it was so good. But anyway, right. Now it's cold.
I know. Oh my God. I know. Yeah. Speaking of the devil, Aaron just peeked his head in. It got so cold.
Right.
I had to pull out my coats again. Like, I've been trying to flip over my closet because I like keep things stored away and like whatever. And it's just not time yet because it's so freaking cold. So.
Yeah. Well, and like we had kickball yesterday. Obviously, I'm still not playing. I am just bench
How's
warming.
the knee?
Better. So hopefully Friday, fingers crossed. It's been 3 weeks since it happened, and I'm finally getting a doctor's appointment. Looking at you, Ohio Health. About that.
That's coming up in a couple days, right?
Yeah. So hopefully by Friday we figure out what is the full extent of whatever I did. And, you know, like I've said over and over again, like I blew out this knee 15 years ago, and I've probably done it. This is now like the 4th time.
Oh, no.
So it's like, it needs to be that conversation of like, how many more times do I have it on this knee before it's like, maybe.
Are you getting scans done on it or just?
I hope.
Okay. Probably.
Right. I'm like, we need to do something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just like, no, you just keep your little like knee brace on and off we go.
But you're walking better.
I know. Yeah. No, I'm walking a lot better. Like there's still like some achy stuff, but it's 10 times better than it was.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
but this
moral of the story: hurt yourself in high school. Get it checked out the first time. Don't wait a long time.
I wonder if you have like scar tissue in there that like just like keeps getting inflamed.
For sure.
Something
That's
like
exactly
that.
what it is. Is like there's a ligament that's like stretched and just
barely
didn't go back.
hanging
Yeah, like right. Just cut it off. Like
replace it, knee replacement immediately. Oh
God.
No, you won't have a knee replacement.
Right.
You don't need that.
No. The insurance company will be like, you're still walking. You don't need it.
Where are those crutches? Get him a cane. All right.
Let's
get into
today?
the news of the day today. It is Monday, April 20th already. This month is flying by. But today we're kind of focusing more on the city council meeting that's happening tonight. There's a lot that's being discussed from the women's pro soccer team. That's still up for debate whether that's going to come to Columbus or not. If that's going to go up McCoy Park, all that debate about where the facility would actually be located. There's also a settlement for a former CPD officer that was demoted and sued, and the settlement will be like over $700,000. So it's a lot of money there. And then also the rental registry, which we've talked about with Councilman Bankston last week. They should be voting on that tonight. So we'll get into that.
Certainly a hot button issue.
We got the zoo coming on too. Tyvis.
And then it's also Construction Zone Safety Awareness Week. We're talking with ODOT later this hour about why it's so important to put the phones down, don't drive distracted, and also how Highway Patrol enforces that.
Yeah, and just about like, construction workers, they have families too. They are putting their lives out on the line when they're working on this side of the highways, and they deserve to be safe in their workspace too.
Right. So if you see us wearing orange this week, you know why.
That is why. Okay, so let's get into the women's professional soccer team vote. This is the second time City Council will be talking about it. Our Amy Steigerwald was covering this morning for us. We're going to play a little clip from her.
Potentially voting on it tonight. However, if tonight goes anything like last week went, there's going to be a lot still to talk about. City Council members are considering a $25 million price tag for this plan. The money would come from a 2% tax on ticketed games and events at the Scotts Miracle Grow Field. It would go towards funding stadium upgrades and a new soccer training facility at McCoy Park. One hurdle to this plan, McCoy Park was already set to receive significant improvements. It's something Council President Shannon Hardin shared concerns about last week.
The city had promised a park for young people who have disabilities to be built and to break ground this year. I did not know that. And I think that that's absurd.
Mayor Andrew Ginther has promised to build a new park in a different location comparable to what McCoy Park would have become. And council is set to meet tonight at 5 o'clock. Of course, we'll be following this issue and bring you the latest once we learn what happens.
Yeah, so the whole debate with McCoy Park, it was supposed to undergo serious renovations. It's been underutilized, I would say, in the years past and just not really kept well. So they were, the city was going to revamp it a little bit. But
right. And I mean, that's
the women's soccer team. They were thinking about putting the facility there and then moving McCoy Park to a different location. But, you know, residents still want it in that area and they don't really want the facility there.
Right. And when we talked with Councilman Nick Bankston, was that just last week?
Yeah, that was last week.
It was just last week because we asked that question of like, is this park really utilized? And he said, no. I mean, it's used to, it's you see some like little league teams
soccer,
and stuff because it's not a park that has equipment to it. It's basically just open
field.
green space. Yeah. And therefore it's like, could we use that and put something else in there? But obviously you heard Council President Shannon Hardin there mentioned that, well, there were some other plans there. We're talking about a park specifically for kids with different abilities to be put in there. Now, I guess the location of McCoy Park it's probably, this is my opinion, it's in a weird location. If you've never been down there, there's not a lot around it because if you go down Green Lawn and you get off 71 at Green Lawn, where you go left and you go basically back toward High Street, you're going to go right. And you're going past Green Lawn Cemetery. You're kind of out there by the Abbey and stuff. It's way down there. So I don't know. I'm very curious. And also, I think the big question that still exists is if the city does move this, is where does it go? Like, where do we find more space? Because that's
for
obviously
McCoy Park,
right? Because that's obviously a conversation that keeps coming up. Is like, how much space do we have? One that's not already being dedicated to housing development somehow, and that I think is a big factor for a lot of people. Is okay, will the city make good on these promises? And
when we were talking with Councilman Bigston, I asked him, are there other places in mind where you could put this women's training facility? And he said there are. He wouldn't get into the details with us because he wasn't prepared to, fully talk about that. But they do have other locations in mind. So it is a possibility that McCoy Park stays put. It gets the renovations that it was going to get, and that they move that women's soccer facility if we get the team somewhere else.
Right. Because that's it. This is the conversation.
If we get it.
It's all a big if. Like,
we may not get it.
We are making all of these plans.
Right.
And a part of that is to basically have a bundled plan together to be like, hey,
here you go.
Here we go. Here's how we're going to do that.
We want this team here.
And at the end of the day, it could completely fall out anyway.
It could.
And all of this was for naught. But.
Who knows what they'll vote on tonight, actually, if it will actually go through, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Let's move over to the rental registry. I want to play some of that sound from Councilman Bankston yesterday or last week when we spoke to him about that.
The rental registry is something that's been talked about, as you said, for years in Columbus. And then with this recent package of Housing for All is what we called it, I raised my hand to try to champion this initiative because there has to be a balance, right? We're balancing the rights of tenants and the folks that live in those units and our residents by also balancing the rights of landlords and property owners who are housing providers, and they're also small businesses. And so I think what we've come up with is a very balanced approach that basically simply says that if you rent to folks in the city of Columbus, you have to register with the city. There is a fee that's $15 per unit with a max of 100 units, so no more than $1,500 per property. And in return, what that does is it allows us to have more data on not just simply who owns the place, but who's the contact? Who's the person that is supposed to be in charge of caring for the space? Who's the emergency contact in case something happens in the middle of the night and we need to get in contact with them? And then the other element that we folded in there is this: every 3 years, we're going to do a proactive kind of educational inspection of the unit, right? That's a cursory review of the exterior. If there are common spaces, looking at the common spaces, just so that it's not necessarily a crackdown, but it's a check-in, that we want to be proactive and get ahead of some of these things that we've seen. Colonial Village sticks in my head, as well as Sawyer Towers. Those are the big kind of outliers, but every single day there's things happening where someone's heat is out or there's a leak. And those residents, are scared to call, and there's no recourse for them. And so how do we as a city get more proactive of working with these property owners to ensure that all we're asking is that if you're going to be renting to folks, that you're accountable, that your place is safe and in order. And if you are, then, no harm, no foul. But we need to make sure that we are holding folks accountable and ensuring that if you're going to be in the business of providing housing, that is a quite different commodity than anything else, right? That's where people lay their heads. That's where people raise their families. And so it has to be safe. And that's a true partnership between the tenant and the landlord. Right.
And that's because as it's always been talked about in the past, this isn't to target the good doing landlords out there who are maintaining their properties and working with these. It's those who are using it just as an income stream and just set it and forget it. And then we end up with these problems such as Colonial Village. I guess the natural progression of this is when would this roll out?
So you guys are getting exclusive. We're actually going to do a press conference. We've had now 3 public hearings on this. We've talked about this since last September. I've engaged with many stakeholders. So this is a long time coming, but we'll be doing a press conference tomorrow with my goal and hope is that I will bring this to my colleagues on the 20th for passage.
All right, and that was Councilman Bankston again, just talking about the rental registry and how it should help protect people that are renting.
Right.
Because there's really not anything in place right now for them.
And that's been, even since I got here, and I just unplugged my headset.
Uh-oh.
So anyway, it's been a conversation that has been talked about a lot in the past couple years, really, about especially after Latitude 529 or the previous name that he called it.
The mass shooting too at that short-term rental.
Right.
It's a large pendulum.
Because we've had that, and then we also kind of forget about the short-term rental there in the Clintonville Beachwald area that was ended up being home to a human trafficking operation. That the owner of that short-term rental was like, didn't even know that was happening.
Right.
So, there's a lot of, I's to dot and T's to cross, I guess, when it comes to that, when, as the city continues to try and make itself a place that people want to live.
Yeah.
And also, you're probably, I don't know if you've considered buying.
I have. I've talked to you about it.
Yes.
And I was like, nope, not buying a house built in 1920 for $1 million.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is if you're trying to buy a house in Columbus, it's incredibly expensive. So a lot of us are in this position of renting is if we want to continue living in this city and not commuting in from any,
and we talked to the
BSA
about it. Yeah. About how most of the homes in Columbus were built in the 1980s. They're old. No one wants to be paying a lot of money for those old houses that need renovations. Collin, you got me going. I could talk about this forever.
And I felt, I did that because the last house I owned, it was before I moved here, was 1922. And it was a constant project to update. But at that point, housing prices hadn't gotten out of hand. It was still cost effective to do that. And that would be my biggest concern here, is that the cost of housing has gotten so expensive.
For a shoebox that needs renovated.
Buying a house in this city for less than $250,000 hard is incredibly hard. And that's changed even in the past 3 years. Used to, you could look at certain parts of you could look at certain parts of the South Side and still find, a lovely house for a decent deal, and that's gone.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot. So I think, that is part of the conversation of
a lot of people are still renting.
Yes,
they're
understanding
not owning.
that there's a lot of people that that home ownership is farther out of reach than it was. So how do we make that not an enjoyable experience, but a comfortable experience that at least you feel taken care of? Because there are a lot of bad landlords out there, and we know that because we've covered the Colonial Village out there on the east side.
It's like
certainly one.
It's uninhabitable for people. It's inhumane, basically.
Right.
Some of these living conditions. So, okay, they could vote on that tonight. That is also another big capital COULD. Also tonight, Brooke Wilson expected to receive $750,000 in a settlement, ending a years-long legal battle with the Columbus Police Department. The lawsuit states Wilson left the police department in August of 2021 after serving more than 20 years with the department. There was a demotion there, and they sued. So that's a lot of money in that settlement, and that's also happening tonight at City Council. Yeah. So let's take a quick break, Collin.
Yeah, Tyvis Powell's coming up.
Yes, he's coming up next.
Yeah, we get to talk about his big TV debut.
Yes, exciting stuff. That's similar to the way yours is on TV.
We didn't get that one.
We definitely need that one. It's a nice little it gets me going.
Tyvis, how's it going? How was your weekend?
It was well. Obviously calling the spring game was a dream come true, so I really enjoyed that moment. It was actually it was better than I thought. I had butterflies going into it. It was like going into a football game. Like, you kind of nervous. Once things get going, you kind of settle down and you're like, all right, I understand what I'm doing. And I had so much fun, like just watching those guys. I knew the storylines and all of those things. It was so much fun. I hope that they let me do like a regular season game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how was the big TV debut?
See, I've been on TV before, so like
but
that part.
Hey, you're on TV right now.
But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just like, I never, like, the camera thing doesn't bother me.
Oh, no, you love the camera.
Yeah,
you find a camera anywhere. Look, he found it right there.
I can look at America right in the eye and just say whatever I want to say, and I know that it's well articulated. I know it's a well thought out thing.
Okay, Mr. Confident.
Good for you, because I have no idea sometimes.
That part never got me.
Some days are harder than others.
Well, you got to be yourself sometimes, and I think that, to me, that's the hardest part about it, or doing colors, that I've watched so many professionals do it before. Do I do that? Do I do what I see? But they gave me the opportunity because of who I am. So should I just be myself? And that's the thing that I fight when I'm on camera. It's like, do I just be Tyvis or do I be the button-up version of Tyvis?
Right, because...
And that's the struggle we deal with on a daily basis.
And play-by-play calling is, if you know the sport with some practice, it might not always be good, but a lot of people, you can work through it. Color takes personality, and like you said, you have to know the people out there to be able to talk about it.
Scarlet and gray coming out of the tunnel. Is that what you were doing?
No, it was like color is like, so the play-by-play is the guy that kind of sets the scene.
Yeah.
It's 2x2.
But you're talking about
I'm telling everybody why it happened, why
context.
the play happened, and then is there any story? What's the relation? Who is this guy? What do you know about this guy? Like, that's what I'm doing.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it was fun, man. I hope I get another opportunity to do it. It was, my passion came out, and it was like, I was shocked to see, like, I was ready to jump out the booth and go in the field. And some of the dropped interceptions was ridiculous. I'm like, y'all that won the Super Bowl and drove off in the Hyundai. Y'all gotta reward yourself. How you gonna do the hard thing and then not get the ultimate prize, which is make the catch? So we gotta fix that with Ohio State.
So does that mean Tyvis is coming out of retirement?
I can't really say much because I dropped a couple of interceptions myself when I played, so I actually know the feeling.
Weren't there some trades recently that happened with OSU? Yeah.
Well, not OSU, with Cincinnati.
With Cincinnati.
The big trade, Cincinnati traded their 10th pick in the draft to get Dexter Lawrence, the defensive tackle from the Giants. Now, this is a big move because a lot of people for Cincinnati, it goes both ways. Some people look at it as it's the 10th pick in the draft. You have a chance to get a really good prospect at 10, but you're trading it away for a veteran guy. Well, it's not just any veteran guy. This guy was All-Pro 2 years of his career. He was a Pro Bowler 3 years of his career. So that means that he's really good. Now, when you trade for Dexter Lawrence, you also have to give him a contract. They extended him another year of his deal, so they hold him for 3 years. I think they gave him an extra year with $28 million. So they're getting him for a really good price. But Dexter Lawrence is one of the top defensive tackles in the game. And to me, what you got to understand is everybody is so enamored with, the pass rushers, the edge rushers, the Myles Garretts, the TJ Watts. Yeah, those are good to have. But to me, if you really want to change your defense, you need to have a good defensive tackle. And that's what Dexter Lawrence is. He provides that push from straight down the middle of a formation. And if you talk to quarterbacks or running backs, that's what they don't like to deal with. The pressure coming straight down because it's hard to avoid it. And he was one of the best in the league these past few years doing that. So to me, I love the trade that Cincinnati did. You can't get a player better than him as a rookie. So to me, they won this trade.
Who cares about the Bengals? We're only rooting for the Brownies here.
That's true too. Hey, that's true too. I like to root for all Ohio teams, but except for when it's Browns versus Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm a little partial. Okay, out of the 600-page Q&A.
Here we go.
Every time Tyvis comes on here until the Memorial Tournament, we are doing a question.
We got 2 out of 5 last time.
Yeah. Okay, so this one, fairness. Oh, oops. I just read the answer.
Guess we're changing questions today.
Well, it's fine. In Jack's design philosophy, what is the first rule?
Fairness.
There we go.
Yes.
Fairness first. Yes, course should challenge golfers without being unfair.
Look at that.
There we go.
I know golf.
Okay. That's next. We'll get you into the golf tournament.
All right, Tyvis. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
I'll see you Wednesday.
All right.
Coming up next, we are talking with the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium about some of their Earth Day recycling programs going on. That's coming up in just 2 minutes.
All right, welcome back to The Big Picture. Today we are talking about Earth Day, which is Wednesday.
Yeah.
We have a special guest joining us from the Columbus Zoo. We have Mike Cortez. He is the Columbus Zoo's Events and Promotions Coordinator. Hello, how are you?
Hi, how's it going? I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I first want to ask you, why is it important that, the Columbus Zoo honors Earth Day coming up?
Yeah, celebrating Earth Day, it's part of our core values that we have here at the zoo, right? A lot of what we do is about sustainability, and how can we share that message with our guests as well? So why don't we do it in a fun way? Have guests come out to the zoo and have a party for the planet specifically. Come celebrate, learn about sustainability, learn why it's important to recycle, and what guests can do for their own local backyards as well. The Central Ohio environment here that we have.
Yeah, what are you guys doing? What is this recycle drive happening this week? Break it down for us.
Yeah, we have 5 different recycling drives happening this week. We have a handheld electronic drive that's going to be benefiting Gorillas on the Line, which is recycling the coltan that's found within phones in order to limit deforestation. We also have a battery drive, a general recycling drive through Rumpke, a Accurate IT electronic drive, and then lastly, we have our clothing drive with Dress for Success. And then we also have our Earth Day celebration this weekend, which is our large-scale event happening on Saturday and Sunday, where guests can come meet local organizations that will be having activity stations and learn what they can do for the planet. As I mentioned, Party for the Planet, it's a big event that we have as well. There will be dance parties, and guests can meet our character ambassadors.
That sounds fun.
Right. And for folks who are probably like me, who have, this closet or so of old electronics that you can't throw away anymore.
I have an old laptop from
I've got, a couple
2010.
laptops that are hanging out, maybe a broken DVD player, that would be ideal for this. When are the dates and times? How do people, go about recycling these with the zoo?
Yeah. I think we all have things in our closets, right, that we've kind of been sitting on for a while that we're maybe ready to move on from. So, as I mentioned, 5 different recycling drives. If people are planning on participating in the recycling drives, you don't have to necessarily come to the zoo on that day. You can arrive and let our parking attendants know that you're here for the recycling drive, and you'll be able to park at no charge. If you come for the first 2 recycling drives, which are our handheld electronic and our battery drives, we'll have a tent right in front of the zoo before the turnstiles and our Evolve security system. It'll be a table staffed where you can just drop off your items. If you're coming for one of our ones with larger items or recycling drives, maybe you're bringing a TV for the electronic or even that clothing donation drive, there will be a space in our overflow parking lot. So just let the attendants know that you're here for that recycling drive and come on over and join us.
Alrighty. How many pounds of items do you expect to be recycled from this?
Yeah, we're hoping for a good number. We had a lot last year in 2025, and we always want to grow. The great thing about recycling is it all gets reutilized, right? One of the organizations, Dress for Success, for instance, our clothing donation drive, they're primarily looking for professional feminine attire to help women that are going into the professional workplace. But any items as well, we want to make sure that they get utilized, right? Whether it be repurposed to a new home or recycled for a new use. So we're hoping that it's in the higher hundreds. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that number turns out to be this year.
Awesome. Mike Cortez with the Columbus Zoo. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope to see everyone here throughout the week.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, yeah, Earth Day Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, coming up, we have Matt Bryn, the press secretary for the Ohio Department of Transportation. He is joining us and talking about the Awareness Week, which is Construction Zone Awareness Week today. So. Joining us now is Matt Bryn, the press secretary for the Ohio Department of Transportation. Thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we are talking about this week is Work Zone Awareness Week. This is a national campaign, you said. But why is it important that we, highlight this here in Central Ohio?
Yeah, well, we've seen a lot of work zone crashes across the state over the last several years. The good news is they've been going down until 2024. And then 2025, we saw an uptick. So we went from 4,000 work zone crashes back in 2024 to just over 4,400 last year. So we want to reverse that trend. We want to keep those numbers going down. The good news is distracted driving in work zones has gone down, and that has been a trend we've seen since 2021. But it's very important that people pay attention in these work zones, obey the speed limits, watch for the workers that are out there, so that everybody gets home safe at the end of the day.
And man, if you've driven on Ohio roads this spring already, there's a lot of construction happening right now, Matt.
Investment is what we call it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sure.
Making it better.
And unfortunately, I mean, really in the past couple of years, we have seen quite a few of the transportation workers hit out there on the roads, whether it be wintertime or during spring and summer construction season.
Yeah, I mean, we're approaching 50 crew hits already this year.
That's
in the state of Ohio. Now, that's people, equipment, that's vehicles, that's everything. But that is not a good number to be at. So we have some work to do to remind people to pay attention out there. And when you see those work crews move over, if you can't safely move over, you need to slow down. That's what the law asks for you to do in all 50 states.
What do you remind the workers that are out there? I mean, I feel like when they're out on the roads like this, they are risking their lives every day for the sake of, making transportation and driving easier for us in Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, they are. And, it's the whole head on a swivel thing that they say to each other. And it's true. You have to constantly be watching to make sure that, you know what those surroundings are like. And unfortunately, we've already had not an ODOT employee, but a contractor that was killed in downtown Columbus, not far from where we're sitting, at the end of February. And they're still, to my knowledge, looking for the person responsible for that. So, this is something that weighs on everybody's minds as they go out there and try to make these roads better for all of us.
And obviously, there you work pretty closely with State Highway Patrol in terms of enforcing this law. And what are some of those conversations? Obviously, you see them leading, sitting there a lot of times leading into these construction zones, basically be like, don't speed, and also move over. What are some of these conversations? How do we work with Highway Patrol to make sure that people are doing the right thing?
So work zones are really hard for law enforcement to work in because things are tight already, right? So the thing that I would remind Ohioans is the Ohio State Highway Patrol has a really great aviation unit, and they watch a lot of these zones from the air. There are lines that we paint in the zones. They have other tools. They're able to measure the speed of vehicles as they're going through. So you're probably not going to see that law enforcement officer until it's already been established that you're speeding in these work zones, and they pull you over at the end of the work zone. So we've worked with the Highway Patrol to develop some of these target enforcement areas. I think they had more than 7,000 speed violations that they wrote last year across the state of Ohio in work zones, and more than 30% were for over 20 miles per hour above the speed limit.
Wow.
So it's not just people barely speeding, it's people excessively speeding in these work zones. It's got to stop.
Yeah, and when I was working in Iowa, I went up in one of these, it was with the Iowa State Patrol there, and their enforcement, and it's interesting how they do it because they use the markings that are painted specially for them, and they have a stopwatch, and it's all about how the distance between that and how fast you cross them, and that's how they can determine if you're speeding. It is interesting.
And I mean,
how it works.
Up from that view, you see everything too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they don't miss a beat from that high.
And it's not just the speed. The number one factor in work zone crashes, by far and away, it's not even close, is following too closely. And they can see that too if you're tailgating. But we need people to allow that extra stopping distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. Things can change very quickly in work zones. And if you don't have the ability to react to that, the space to react to that, then that's where we see a lot of these crashes.
So Wednesday is a day people are encouraged to wear orange. Why should people participate in that?
It's just an awareness. If nothing else, it is a matter of you and I walking down the street like, hey, you're wearing orange. What's going on today? And having a conversation. So it's just a way to show that we are aware of work zones. We are going to drive mindfully in those work zones, and hopefully, spread that message. But also, it's a measure of support for our men and women. I hear every year when we do this, You know, it was so cool. I got up and turned on 10 TV, and they're all wearing orange on the news this morning and talking about it being Work Zone Awareness Week. That makes me feel good as a guy who works on the road. And so we'd love to hear that. So certainly look forward to you guys participating this week.
All right. Thank you. And obviously, thank you to all the construction workers that are out there day in, day out, even in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
You know, working hard and, you know, putting their lives on the line.
And I got to say, as somebody who just came back from Indiana, we're doing a lot better of a job.
As a native Hoosier, it pains me to hear that a little bit, but I've heard that from some people, unfortunately.
All right. Matt Bruning, ODOT, thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate the time.
So Matt Bruning there. Yes, Indiana roads
Some
are
beef
worse.
with Indiana.
They are. When was the last time you drove in Indiana?
Around New Year's Eve.
Okay.
And it wasn't that bad. So maybe we were on different roads.
Maybe. I just know, the moment you cross the state line at 70.
I also was asleep most of that car ride.
Oh,
so
good for us. I struggle with sleeping cars.
Okay.
Staying in the vein of roads.
Yes, roads and construction. The Capitol Line construction project starts. Now, this is on Gay Street. We want to show you guys a map. This will create a new 2-mile path for walkers, runners, and bicyclists through Gay Street. And this is what it looks like. So not very long, but you will be able to access the businesses there. The city says it will be down to 1 lane of traffic from 7 in the morning to about 3:30 in the afternoon
this week. So what they're doing in there is they're going through and removing the medians that exist, the trees, parking right now. So the idea of this is to make it much more bike friendly.
Like table, little eating tables.
Because
and
they
stuff
tried to
for
revitalize that Gay Street strip there for basically from City Hall all the way to 4th Street now.
Yeah.
For the past few years, bringing in new local businesses. The focus has really been on local, and some of the renderings that we've seen over the years for that project really have this really, really wide sidewalk space that have trees and benches and stuff like that, and then a really narrow driving space. So really cutting down vehicle traffic and focusing
because no one
more
wants
on pedestrian.
To be hanging, relaxing outside and
right.
Be
How many
about
times
getting
have
hit
you
by a car?
Yeah, been on a patio somewhere and you're
scared.
Yeah. So it have you been? I guess a good my from the renderings that I've kind of looked at from this. Have you ever been to Boulder,
Colorado? No.
Mm-hmm. So they've got this whole stretch that is.
I'm thinking exactly about 4th Street in Cleveland. Have you been there?
Okay, I have not.
Okay,
so
that's exactly what
Boulder has this whole basically stretch that is just bricked walking. It is not for driving.
That's what 4th Street is. Yeah.
So it's an interesting concept. If people will get on board with it, it's lovely. Because there are some wonderful restaurants on Gay Street that are great afternoon hangouts and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be back with more news in 2 minutes. Welcome back to The Big Picture. It is 9:42 on your Monday morning.
So going on, well, I guess continuing today is jury selection in the Jason Meade trial. This is the second trial for Jason Meade. He is a former Franklin County Sheriff's deputy. He is facing murder charges in the shooting death of Casey Goodson Jr. all the way back in 2020. So how we got to today is that Meade faced a jury for basically the same charges that ended in not a hung jury, but it was a mistrial because the jury could not come to a decision or at the end of that. So it was a mistrial, and there have been multiple delays at getting a new trial, which just last week we started the jury selection process. We're now getting there.
And this has been 6 years coming.
Right.
So it's been a long time. And the family definitely wants justice. So this jury selection process is super important in this retrial.
Right.
And then later this week, we are expecting opening statements to happen. But
we
depends on the jury on that process first.
Yeah, because we know it can drag out for a while. And then, there might be some changes in how we see this case argued this time. We know that Jason Meade's attorneys have asked basically permission to argue self-defense because Jason Meade, throughout the entirety of that first, the first trial and over the years, has maintained that he felt afraid for his life and the lives of other people, because during some of that first trial, we heard that he saw Casey Goodson Jr. drive by him and wave a gun and wave that gun at him again. And but the prosecution, including the state, the prosecutor, had said that, well, Goodson was going into his grandmother's house with sandwiches in one hand and his keys in the other. His gun was found on the kitchen floor, and his family has not refuted that he may have had a handgun on him because he had a license to carry. So there's a lot of things that we're going to see come up this time. Probably a lot of it's going to be very similar to what we saw the first time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it'll be interesting. We will continue following that. We have there we go. You can watch that on 10 TV Plus. So
yeah, we will
bring
be there.
That to you, gavel to gavel.
Gavel to gavel. Lacey Crisp will be in the courtroom.
All right, let's switch gears to our wallets, because I feel like this is everything that's on. This is what is on top of everyone's mind. The Strait of Hormuz, it's still being blocked. As we've reported extensively, 5% of the world's crude oil supply moves through there. Right. So we are seeing a direct impact of jet fuel prices, normal fuel prices, the whole spectrum. So here's this package from Bradley Blackburn, kind of giving us an update on what's happened.
The Defense Department released videos of the U.S. Navy firing on an Iranian cargo ship and Marines later landing on it by helicopter to seize it. On social media, President Trump said the U.S. military took custody of the Iranian-flagged vessel after it tried to get past the U.S. naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has slammed the incident, calling it an act of maritime piracy. The president also posted he's sending a delegation to Islamabad for more peace talks, while again threatening to knock out Iran's power plants and bridges if Tehran does not accept what he calls, quote, a very fair and reasonable deal.
The president's prepared to escalate, to de-escalate. We are confident they will come to the table and finally give up their obsession with having a nuclear weapon.
CBS News has learned Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to again lead the U.S. delegation. But so far, Iran has not committed to the talks, blaming the White House's excessive demands, frequent shifts in positions, and the naval blockade, according to Iranian state media. Over the weekend, Iran reversed course on the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. The country's top negotiator now says the blockade must be lifted before the key shipping route is reopened. Meanwhile, congressional Democrats are demanding the Trump administration wrap up the 7-week-long conflict soon.
Troops have died, others are being injured, and Americans are paying $1 more for gas because of President Trump's war of choice.
The 2-week ceasefire is set to expire this week. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
All right, so we want to give you a look at the Dow right now. So there was a big dip, but then it's evened out.
Right,
so,
right. We're back to basically opening prices at this point. I mean, we're kind of back to level. So that's a live look right now. Dow, 49,400 points right now. So, we continue talking about oil prices as well, is that, the president has said that, our oil doesn't come through the Strait of Hormuz. But we all know, it's important to reiterate that oil's traded on the commodities market.
Right. And a lot of like the countries that are impacted by this are the European countries, Asia, by the Strait of Hormuz being closed, which is why it's leading to this big concern about jet fuel prices over there.
And shipping costs, because all of your shipping, your big cargo ships run on diesel, fuel oil, etc. So there's that. And so oil's traded on the commodities market. So anything that's going on over there, we can't set our own prices for that.
No.
So even though we can produce our oil at said volume, it doesn't really.
But the good news for us here in Ohio, we are well below the national average. Let's pull up that AAA map. So right now, the average in Ohio is $3.68. Nationally, the average is about $4.
Right.
So we are down pretty decent.
Yeah, Franklin County's about 370 right now.
Yeah, Delaware
a little lower, 360 a gallon.
Yeah, Licking 360 as well. So
right.
That's
the southern
pretty good.
Part of Ohio,
it's just the diesel
the southern
prices.
Ohio is a little more expensive than it's been recently. So about 390 down in Adams County. Lake County 365, Cleveland, Cuyahoga County 374. So everybody's kind of about the same there. Hey, but if you head over to the Indiana state line, Mercer County 354. So
you're gonna go drive there.
It's never worth it to drive a long distance to fill up for cheaper, because you're just gonna burn through that savings anyway.
Yeah. So they're still fluctuating. Obviously, we're still impacted by this, but I want to play this package from David Goldman about the jet fuel shortage this summer and how it could impact travel.
The 2026 summer travel season could be full of headaches.
Supply and demand are the undefeated champions of business and economics.
Jet fuel prices have rocketed upward since military action against Iran began, and travelers are going to be picking up part of the tab.
This is a dire situation for airlines if they don't cut flights and raise prices for flyers.
The International Energy Agency says Europe has roughly 6 weeks of jet fuel on hand, and officials say if oil supplies remain stuck in the Strait of Hormuz, some planes could be grounded.
The price of jet fuel's up north of 40% since this war started, and airlines are starting to cut flights.
The ripple effect could also produce other travel-related problems.
Routes that are going between two cities that aren't necessarily hubs. You might have to go around, get inconvenienced. You might have fewer nonstop flights and more delays as well.
And analysts say it may be a while before things return to normal.
Once the straits open up, it takes time to unclog the 800 tankers that are there, get them to the places they need to be, and then get the refineries back open and processing all this fuel.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Yeah, so summer travel.
Right. So book your tickets before.
I know.
Prices go up. Lock them in.
Yikes. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break. We have a look at the weather coming up this week, as we're cold right now, but it's going back up. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to The Big Picture. Aaron White here with us.
Hello.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
What'd you do this weekend?
What did I do? I went paddleboarding actually last week.
Paddleboarding. Yeah, was this your first time of the season, or have you been out a couple times
Second
before?
time now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you go?
So Buckeye Lake.
Okay.
I've gone to a couple other places. I really actually want to go out on the Sauter River and just actually try that out.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
But you always see a lot of like kayakers and stuff down there, especially.
I've seen people out on the river, so I'm like, oh, that's probably not bad. You got the current and everything, so it's probably a good paddle, like going back upstream.
Yeah, getting back upstream is always
brown water.
But it's good. The water temperatures are still cold, so I will say that water temperatures are like low to mid 50s. So if you fall in, not ideal.
Right. How long can you stand on the board and like do your
done
thing?
It for like a couple hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Without falling?
Yeah, without falling.
So you have really good balance.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, some of the boards, so mine's inflatable, so it's a little wobbly sometimes, but once you kind of figure it out, you can stay on for.
Did you ever get the leak fixed in the one? Because you
I did. Yeah. So Collin and I went one time, and the board I took was the one that had the leak. So it was this very slow leak. I had it patched up and everything. It's honestly, it's fine even if you're on it for like an hour.
Right. It was an incredibly slow leak.
Very small. Yeah. But it is all patched up now, so we don't have to worry about it.
That's like when there's an air mattress with a leak. It's just like you wake up the next morning and it's just like there, barely there.
Yeah. Just like sunk
slow
into
burn.
the mattress.
So today is obviously a little chilly.
And it's Monday, so I want to talk about what's in store for the rest of the week. Because this Sunday and today were way too cold for me. I mean, and I want it to get warm again.
Yeah, we're back to the warmth tomorrow. We got 70s already in the forecast. So we got one more night of these chilly temperatures. We got 30s in the forecast overnight. So it's not bad. Of course, it's been cold here today, but we are going to start to make progress with 70s, and we got 80s coming our way by Thursday and Friday.
Nice.
So looking forward to that.
Okay, so it's going up.
Might go paddleboarding again. We'll see. But honestly, I mean, you can see there the 7-day forecast. Our temperatures are on the rise. And even this weekend, despite we're tracking some of those rain chances here, we got temperatures still in the 70s. So we're not going to see a really big drop like we unfortunately just had. But thankfully, this cold front has also kind of kept the severe weather away, because last week was just busy, not around here, but across parts of the
Cleveland,
Midwest.
they got all that hail. Iowa, the zombie hail. You've heard about the zombie hail.
I have not. Zombie hail.
It's like the spiky hail. I don't know why it's called zombie hail. Who decided that?
That was a new one for me.
That's a new one for me too.
Who decided that?
I've seen like the spiky hail. I didn't know people referred to it that way. But
I mean, some of the damage and stuff
don't
from
shoot
that.
the messenger.
Yeah.
I mean, friends in Iowa and stuff. I mean, holes in like their like patio roofs and all of that stuff. Where that, I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a hail sale we were talking about
hail
today?
Sale, the hail sale in
east
Cleveland.
side of Cleveland. Yeah, I saw that hail. I was watching that storm, and I'm like, that's some pretty serious hail. And there was like so many people that were stuck on the interstate there, like went under the overpass to like shelter. But then you saw like video of like the windshields cracked.
Yeah,
and
bad.
That was some bad hail.
I know. Well, I'm really hoping this colder weather goes away, because I have lilies that are starting to sprout.
Sure.
And they're beautiful. And if they freeze, I'm going to be upset.
At least they're hardy.
Be upset.
Yeah.
They
well,
are
I will
hardy.
say, after tomorrow, things are looking good. We don't have any more really cold temperatures in the forecast, even past the 7-day. We might cool down a little bit next week, but really looking good. And I will say, the monarch butterflies.
Ooh.
They're back in Ohio. There's been reports of monarchs here the last few days. So
Oh my gosh, I love monarch
thanks
butterflies.
for the warmth,
When you see a butterfly, it's good luck.
That's right. Good luck, good temps, right?
Well, let's pull up this video of something that was not a monarch butterfly, rather a skydiver. Their parachute got stuck on the Virginia Tech scoreboard.
Oh.
Just wait for this. This is like 40. There's two of them.
This little guy over here.
It's like a 45-second video. Yeah, look at this.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh no.
Yikes.
Oh no.
Oh, there we go. Parachute caught on the scoreboard. That is insane.
Oh, that would be so scary.
Right?
Because now
there's just nothing you can do when you're like free falling like that.
Stuck there.
Have you guys skydived before?
No,
I've not. I've always wanted to go.
I have. It's fun. Well, let's go together. I'll go with you.
Just not over a stadium to do that, because
I
know.
Nicole has.
Yeah.
Nicole Sheeran is a big skydiver.
It's fun.
She loves it, which
free
no.
falling.
Yeah, because she's gone a few times,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, she's super into it.
Yeah.
I'm not jumping out of the plane.
It's not on your bucket list? No. Something else at the top there?
Right. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it. That's there's too many things that I don't know.
Yeah.
Too many things go wrong.
I don't know if you guys saw, so aside from that video, there was another video out of Australia of a parachuter, like skydivers jumping, and the backup parachute kind of released and got stuck to the wing of the plane.
Oh
and
my gosh.
I can only imagine